It seems to be a general trope these days that if a writer doesn't know what the hell he's doing, all of the characters have to be moron simpletons that live and die because of luck and a total disregard for logic or the rules of the story's world.
I work with retards.
If the storyteller wants a character to survive, he gets plot armor. If they're attacked by an alien, elevator doors shut unbelievably quick, or he just does this.
Tell me something good. Tell me that you love me.
And they're saved at the last minute by conveniently placed bullshit Deus Ex Machina plot devices. In Alien, all the characters have strengths and weaknesses. They have real motivations and interesting backstories that aren't explicit, but you can feel it in the actors' performances. They're all professionals that deal with a crisis according to their skills, training, and ability to deal with pressure. Alien Earth has none of that. So does the latest episode work, or does it give us more of the same? First of all, a blatant plug about my show. Like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. So episode 5, In Space No One... is probably one of the better episodes, cause we don't get Soy Boy and Ginger Mantis Face. We're back aboard the Maginot to get the backstory that by now I don't really give a shit about, with characters I mostly forgot. The director Noah Hawley says it's a direct homage to the Nostromo. The sets are exactly the same, the walls, the halls, the cryo chambers, and that's one part of the show I truly do appreciate. It looks magnificent. But it's a fine line between homage and ripoff, and when you create a show that's exactly like the original, it's gonna get compared. But this is the pinnacle of form over function. It's Gen Z. It's TikTok. It's the OnlyFans influencer who can't form a sentence. It looks pretty, but there's nothing inside. Anyway, we begin and the captain is dead, because it's become a running gag that the captain pretty much dies early in all of these movies. I'm glad I never had Starship Captain ambitions. Also, the Exo's love interest, whose name I didn't bother to look up, is infected with xenojizz. And there's a saboteur on board, you see? I couldn't figure out who it was, partially because most of the characters are forgettable and wooden, but mostly because I didn't give a shit anymore. What should be a tense situation doesn't really feel so fatal, even though they're trying so hard to make some thriller with some paranoia vibes like The Thing. But it fails, and it fails bad. For the life of me, I can't understand why everyone on the ship mostly distrusts, dislikes, or is generally annoyed with everybody else. It's like high school, a family reunion, and your job all rolled into one. Cyborg Pedo is yelling at the Exo for getting her oil changed, then he threatens another crew member with his little handheld cyborg Pedo blade, and Tang keeps trying to sexually assault some cute girl with no real consequences. Yeah, it's like in space, nobody can hear you, me too. The director is trying to shoehorn this badly manufactured tension so they fall apart when the monster escapes. So cliche. It's sloppy writing, and Alien deserves better. In storytelling, there should be an attack and defense when characters argue. There isn't any of that. Characters capitulate and pussy out when they're confronted. They lack a spine and any kind of agency. Back to the saboteur. This guy has no business being a saboteur, by the way, and his plan is absolutely ridiculous. He unfreezes himself at will, and the story doesn't really reveal how. He sends messages back and forth that can be played back later. Everyone here is a moron. It's like texting a stripper using your girlfriend's phone. You're gonna get caught. Also, this is a 65-year-old mission, and boy on the spectrum is in his early 20s. Let's say he knew what the ship was carrying, and he deemed it important enough to start a war with Weyland-Yutani. Who told him about this? And why would they tell him? He would have to send a message to anyone that would be willing to betray Weyland-Yutani. He would have to ping each crew member until one would offer to help. Pick the wrong one and your plan is kaput. It doesn't make any sense. Also, this would have to be a trusted asset like Cyborg Pedo was to Yutani, not just an inbred asshole looking to make some extra cash. So Cyborg Pedo finds the transmission and he mostly does nothing. He doesn't alert Weyland-Yutani. He goes to the medbay. Yeah, he just fucks off to the medbay to see the science officers kill some guy with their incompetence. Something I gotta point out is how little science there was in the science officer training. Specimens are kept in flimsy, unsecured glass jars that they just literally put on shelves. They don't lock them down. They can be accessed internally by the cricket bugs, and the DEI science officer is just munching on a sandwich while an alarm is going on outside. Remember, there's a Xeno on the loose, and there's absolutely no fucks given, even though for some reason the crew is aware of how dangerous this bastard is. So what do? They call a meeting. Maybe they should have just sent out an email. What the fuck? Assholes, your ship is out of control, a monster's on the loose, and you're penalizing crew members for eating during the meeting. Well, the retarded engineer's assistant drinks cricket larva, vomits blood, and they prepare him for surgery because he has crickets crawling all over his lungs. This was actually a particularly gruesome and fun scene, though, I must say. Of course, the brain-dead science officers decide to cut him up and get the damn crickets out of him. So do they suit up? No. Do they decontaminate so they don't kill the guy or get whatever infection he has? No. They just open up his chest and start pulling out crickets with a sink drain claw. Remember, this is about 60 years in the future, and they're pulling these crickets out of his chest with this. What the literal fuck? That's like using tweezers to perform an appendectomy. Anyway, it goes about as bad as you'd expect. The crickets pass some poison wind, the doctors realize it was the crickets that dealt it, and promptly die. So after all that, they finally feel a sense of urgency and formulate a plan to defend themselves against the Xeno. Strangely enough, the Xeno isn't the biggest threat because it's kind of slow and dim-witted. This show seems to be less and less a story about the alien. It walks right up to Captain Latino Barbie and just kind of gives her a menacing look. It knocks her down and she's able to just get up and outrun it. Yeah, she's fucking outrunning a Xeno. Also, the engineer is infected by that octoball now, or I think they call it a eyeball minge or some shit like that. And he's just staring at Captain Latino Barbie. He attacks her, knocks her down, and just kind of does nothing. Why? Don't know. Then Cyborg Pedo shows up to, save her, and he's surrounded by both the alien and the octoball. Can he escape, you ask? Yeah, it's super easy. Barely an inconvenience. He just zaps the eyeball engineer and proceeds to fuck off. That Xeno definitely has an extra chromosome or something, because he can't catch anything unless the script needs him to. Okay, that's all. Cyborg Pedo locks himself in some kind of pod, and then the ship crashes as we saw before. This show is just painful to watch by now. It doesn't follow any logic. All these damn characters make the crew of the Prometheus and Covenant look like Nobel Prize winners, and every single one of them deserves to die. I was rooting for the Xeno by this point. But that's not the worst of this episode. It's how little danger the Xeno possesses and how little fear and sense of urgency he inspires. This is discount Alien, like if the Coen brothers and Michael Bay directed it. There's little suspense, bad writing, and horrible dialogue. This is direction by the numbers, and none of them add up. Well, I'm gonna watch the next one, because quite frankly, it's my job, and I'm doing it so you don't have to. Well, let me know if you suffered through it like I did, because misery loves company, and as always, keep watching movies.